Hi, welcome to the Mom of Many podcast. I'm your host, Tammy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So, today we're going to be talking with viewers about chores and allowances and all that kind of stuff for our kids. I've got a letter from a viewer. I've actually gotten a couple letters, but I'm going to read this short letter because it's all encompassing. Um, it says, Dear Tammy, can you please give us some examples of age appropriate chores for your kids? Along the same lines, what do you think about allowance? And what about part time jobs for teens? We need all these questions answered stat. So apparently we have some parents with teens and kids and they're kind of wanting to know how to handle that kind of stuff. So I really just have a few thoughts about that. I can just share what we do in our own home and hopefully it applies to you. So um, I'll invite you to listen and you can discard what you want, keep what you want, and hopefully it'll work. So overall, I guess this the whole podcast is about intentional parenting. So this is part of intentional parenting. If you are trying to raise kids that are responsible and have a sense of um, I don't know, have a sense of like carrying a load or helping the family or being a part of a family, I think chores are non-negotiable for me. I think every single child on planet Earth should be involved in chores from the moment that they can. I was at a friend's house in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and they have four little ones, and the youngest is, I think, 1.5, and the oldest is maybe 7. And I was just tickled to see the 3-year-old, feeding the dog. They had put the dog food down low, and they had given a little scooper, and that was his job every day to feed the dog, and I was really proud of them because they're teaching their children at a young age, and I wish I saw more of that. Um, I think that every child should feel like they're a part of a family. That it's important. In our family, we have different jobs. Now in India, we call it duty. So have you done your duties? Have you done your family duties? Have you done your personal duties? So we kind of broke it up into um, duties, family duties, personal jobs, personal duties, and things like that. Now let's talk about that. Let's break it down a little bit. I believe every child from the age that they can walk can help a little bit. And I believe it helps them. It builds their confidence. It gives them a sense of importance, a sense of belonging, a sense of I'm needed in this family. It's really, really healthy. I don't see anything unhealthy about it if it's done right. And so we have our little ones as young as 3 or 4. I remember we had shoe racks, and it would always be the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds, and that was their job was to arrange the shoe rack. And they would just get the shoes off the rack and they would put them back on again. And of course, it was a mess and it never really was clean, but it wasn't the point. The point was just teaching them how to help their family. And so as they grew, they had more jobs. It might be to sweep or to clean or to take out the trash. It might be to take out the dog or to feed the dog. It might go on and on and on. And so help clean up the yard. We all had jobs to do. And so age appropriate jobs to me, your goal is not can my child do a good job of keeping this clean? Can my child help? Is it helpful? Like can they do it right? It's not about that at all at a young age. It's all about teaching them responsibility and belonging to a family and working towards a greater goal and all of those things. That's the values you're trying to teach. Will you have to go back behind them and clean up? Yes, you probably will. Will it be easier if you do it yourself? Yeah, probably so. Will it be a lot faster if you do it yourself? Absolutely. But that's not the point. The point isn't getting the job done. The point isn't the chore. The point is their character development. Um, I have seen in many homes teenagers that literally just they eat and they drink and they put things here and there, and they literally don't clean up after themselves. They just wait for mom to do everything. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, if my child's like that, I'm gonna be really frustrated. The parents, it's not that the mom minds cleaning up after her child. Maybe she does mind and she's just slamming dishes around and she's upset. But the point is, I'm just thinking, what is that child going to do when they're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old? They're still going to be living that way. And I know that some parents will say, well, they'll get it when they move out, they'll figure it out. But I'm just not a fan of that kind of parenting. I believe that we're supposed to, for me to be a good parent means to teach my kids how to be responsible and active and contribute and aware and sensitive and willing to help with a good heart and a good attitude. And so we teach that from a young age. We have family projects where we all get our hands dirty. We get out there and get jobs done. Every one of us, you might see 40 of us in the field that day cleaning up. We have jobs that we expect the kids to do, and we have jobs that we're supposed to do, and we're all part of a family, and we need each other. And so, age appropriate, as early as possible. I mean, 3 years old, not too young. I think it's an awesome thing. I mean, let them help a little bit. 2 year olds, I mean, they can help a little bit, cleaning up little things. I mean, and they love it. And there comes an age where they don't love it. So take advantage of it while they're small, because they actually love being helpful. They love doing jobs around the house. They love the idea of doing chores. Um, our kids help. Let me give an example. You've got a 7 year old. In my mind, they should be for sure keeping their own stuff clean, and personal jobs, taking care of their own things. They can help. I mean, they can help sweep, they can help vacuum. They don't have to do everything themselves, and it's not like they have to be our slaves. But it's just the idea of helping out your family and just helping out a little bit. 10 year olds can do more. 12 year olds can do more. I mean, by teenagers, they should be able to do their own laundry. They should be able to wash it and put it in the dryer, take it out, fold it, put it up when it needs to be folded. They should be able to, the obvious things that most parents have their kids do, take out the trash, empty the dishwasher, load the dishwasher. And it's not that you're trying to make them slaves, or it's not that, I've just seen a lot of parents resist the idea. They're like, well, my kids are busy, they're tired, they go to school all day, and I'm at home, so I'll just do things for them. And but you're not doing anything for them. You're doing them a disservice. It's actually, to me, hurting your kids not to allow them to help, not to allow them to pitch in. And so, my 14-year-old, she's almost 15, and I've realized, you know what, she should be able to cook a meal by herself right now, and I haven't really made her do that because I've just been easier for me to do it, and there's just two of us at home right now, and so part of me has just kind of been slack, and I've been, I'm doing her a disservice right now. I want her to be confident. I want her to be able to figure out a meal, to select the stuff that needs to find up a recipe, look it up online, figure it out, cook it, prepare it, and serve it, and to feel that pride in accomplishing something. And so that's something that we're going to be working on this summer, and it's something I kind of let fall between the cracks. And so I really, really do believe that um, if they can physically do the job, and I think that they're not too young for it now, but your mindset has to be not, I want this job done perfectly, but I want my child to learn responsibility. I want my child to be a part of a family. I want them to feel like they're important. I want them to know that this family needs them and needs their help. Even if they're 4 years old and feeding the dog, your family needs you. Your dog needs you. Even if you're 6 years old and you're just wiping the table off, and you make a big mess and you wipe the crumbs everywhere, it's not about the crumbs. It's about learning to be a part of a family, and needing each other and helping out. Um, so I'm a big advocate of giving your kids to do lots of jobs around the house and helping out as much as possible. Um, Again, the end game is not perfection. The end game is character development, and the end game is responsibility, and building them up as humans. So if you can keep that in mind, you can't go wrong. I think another question you asked was, what I think about allowance. Um, I I don't have any strong feelings. I can just tell you what I practice. I think that when I tended to give my kids whatever they needed, whatever age whatever they needed, I gave it to them. They needed something for school, they needed something for home, they wanted something to that they saw at the store, and we just gave it to them. That's okay, But for me, I realized that once I started kind of giving allowance, there was a sense of them earning it, taking care of things a lot better than they did before, a sense of self accomplishment, a sense of pride, and so I would give allowance, maybe for sure, when they reach the early teens or tweens, a little allowance. I don't think you should go crazy on it. I know some kids get. I'll tell you some bad practices, and then I'll tell you maybe what I do, and you can judge me accordingly. But I have a friend that was talking about somebody in her family who gave their kids $100 a month. And I was like, whoa. I was kind of thinking like a lot less than that. And they give them $100 a month to buy what they want. And I was kind of surprised. And I said, well, what do they do around the house? Well, they have to keep their room clean. And these are tweens. These are all 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. They have to keep their room clean, and they have to take turns unloading the dishwasher and taking out the trash. And like, for $100, I'll come unload your dishwasher. I'll come take out your trash. That's a lot of money. So $100 is a little bit, maybe might be overdoing it. So, you know, um, think of something, I don't know, wherever you're from or whatever area you're in, whatever's the going rate, but for me it's $20 a month. And it's just your allowance in it, and I do expect her to do stuff around the house. I expect her to, yeah, empty the dishwasher. I expect her to sweep the kitchen a couple times a week. I expect her to keep her bathroom clean, to keep the help keep the big areas clean, help me on Saturday mornings get stuff done around the house. I expect her, to wash her own clothes. And those are, and yeah, I mean, $20 to me is fair. I know it seems less to some people, but it's not that I'm paying for her work. I'm just giving her allowance, and I'm also expecting her to pull her weight around the house too. So I do give her extra money for extra jobs. The other day, she was like, "I really want some money. Can I do anything extra around the house?" And I said, "Well, do you want to clean out the garage?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how much do you think it's worth?" And she hasn't gotten used to American money yet, thank God. So she said, "I don't know, $3." And I was like, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you 10." And she's like, 10? Absolutely, I'll go do it. So she went. Now our garage is not that cluttered, so it wasn't that hard, but still, I got a deal, she got a deal, everybody's happy. So I have no problem with giving kids extra money for extra jobs, but I also encourage her, if you want to ask around and see if you can babysit, see if you can walk dogs, do whatever you can if there's something special that you want to buy. Um, when you give your kids everything without any work or any thought put into it and expecting nothing of them, how is that a blessing? Like, what? I don't understand that kind of parenting. I think we're doing our kids a disservice. So I'm a big fan of having our kids um, learn the things that matter: character development, responsibility, all of those things. So this is the kind of the way that I guess I first kind of learned it was probably way back in the day. Um, our kids would we would give them everything they needed for school. We would give them pencils, and this is again in the Indian context, but pencils and erasers and notebooks and whatever they needed, all the different like school supplies, and uh and so I can remember again. I mean, they just constantly were like, "I lost my pencil, I lost my pencil, I lost my eraser. I don't know where it is. Where's my pencil sharpener?" And like it was like I couldn't believe it. It's like every single day we're just handing out. We're just going through pencils and pens and erasers and sharpeners and notebooks, and everybody's losing everything and nobody knows where it is. And there was literally no they didn't take care of it, and there was no sense of ownership and no sense of responsibility, and it was infuriating, and it just kept going. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. This went on for like a year. So we've gone through probably giant boxes of pencils, right? We had a bunch of kids, so we're just going through them. It's just like a revolving door of just people needing new school supplies. And I just remember thinking, we just gave you one yesterday. Like, where is it? I lost it. So and so borrowed it. I don't know what they did to it. I think it fell out of my backpack when I was coming home from school. And I'm just like, are you guys kidding me? So then I started, you know, thinking like I've got to do something to teach these kids to hold on to their things because this is going to like break the bank here. And so we came up with an idea of just like basically giving them allowance. And so what we did is we give them rupees for different jobs that they did. And so they had little worksheets, and I gave them each a worksheet, and I gave them each, and it kind of had the time and the date and who and what job they did, and which of the house parents saw that job, or which of the maybe older siblings saw them do that job, and they would kind of sign it. And then I would give them rupees. They would get 2 rupees an hour. Y'all, that's nothing. Okay, so 2 rupees an hour, or 2 rupees for half an hour. I don't remember, but I used to give them money for the different jobs, and of course, it really wasn't about the jobs at all. I mean, sometimes I would just die laughing because the same kid would come to me having signed the same work that somebody else just gave me. So it'd be something like this: I swept the front porch, this morning at 8 o'clock. And then I would get another kid. I swept this front porch this morning at 8:15. And another one would be like, I swept the front porch around 9 this morning. And they'd each have signatures that they had done it. And I'm like, well, that has got to be the cleanest front porch we've ever seen. But again, it wasn't about the job. It wasn't about the porch. It was about responsibility and learning. And so they would, at the end of the week, we'd hand them over their rupees, and they all had different, little containers that they kept them in. And so he'd get 30 rupees. She might get 40. She might get, 10. I don't remember how much. They would just get this rupees. And then I started like selling all the school supplies for rupees. So like a new pencil might have been 1 rupee, and an eraser was 1 rupee, and a sharpener was 2 rupees or whatever. Notebooks for 5 rupees, and the same exact supplies. And they were just like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. And I'd be like, yeah, you have to start buying them now. And so since you guys have money, you have to start buying your own school supplies. Now, of course, they cost a lot more in real life, but that's what we're selling them for. And so, I mean, all of a sudden, guys, every single one of my kids had all their school supplies every single day. There was no more lost crowns or markers or erasers or sharpeners or notebooks. I mean, nothing. They were. I mean, they would keep those pencils down to the littlest tiny half an inch stub because they didn't want to buy another one. And they started valuing all the things that they used to get for free. They started valuing them, and they would complain, "Oh, it's so expensive. Oh my goodness, can you believe Tammy Ma's charging us 2 rupees for this? This pen is 2 rupees." And they would be commenting about how expensive it was, and I was like, guys, but you also have a ton of rupees now, like you didn't have that before. And so anyway, and I started selling other stuff too. We had a little shop with snacks and toys and different things they could earn with their money. And so you get it, right? The value of objects, the value of hard work, the idea of I worked hard, I earned this, this is mine, I'm going to take care of it, I value it as a treasure to me. And so those are great values, and it's great in character development. We use rupees. This is kind of a side note, but you're asking about allowances, but we use rupees for lots of things. So they got rupees for coming home with any kind of good report from school. Whether they did great on an art project, or they won an award in their sports day and they won first place, second place, third place. They would get different money. They would get money for that. They would get rupees. They get rupees for participating in something, like maybe they participated in drama, or they in a production, or they participated in some kind of a debate thing, or whatever it was, in school, just for participation. The idea that, like, just rewarding them for going out on a limb and doing something out of their comfort zone. And so, winning things, they got money for that. We had sometimes game nights where we give money as prizes out. And then another thing we gave money for was reading in the summertime. And so our kids, like most, well, not most kids maybe, but like many kids, we had quite a few kids that did not like reading. And so I started giving them rupees for reading. And so every summer I would give them rupees to read books, and they would read books and keep track of them, and they would write little short book reports that went with each book. And they would get rupees at the end of it. And at the end they'd come out with a bunch of rupees and be able to buy stuff with it. And so um, I do think that allowances are good. I don't think you should overdo it. I don't know that I would agree with $100 being appropriate for a 10-year-old who empties the dishwasher. And I don't know that a child like that at age would necessarily need $100. I mean, um, so I don't know. I would think long and hard about the amounts. I would probably I'd rather err on the side of not having quite enough than err on the side of like overdoing it and creating this expectant entitlement that we see so often in our children. And so the other question I think you asked was what about part-time jobs for teens? Again, you probably know what I'm going to say by now. Yes, I do think that part-time jobs are awesome. I think that when they're able to work, they should. And I think in the U.S. that's 16. I think that's a great time. I think before that they could. I had the cutest little kid come to my door last night and knock on it and say, ma'am, can I mow your yard for $10? And I was like, I mean, our yard is really small, but $10. And I was like, and you know what? It didn't need to be. It was fine. It doesn't need to be mowed. It was already mowed a week and a half ago, and so it was actually fine. And I said, absolutely, you can. And I gave him $15. And so I love that. I want to reward that kid for going out and showing some moxie. He's probably 10 or 11 years old. We need more of that, and we can develop it in our kids with a little creativity. So part-time jobs, yes. I know a lot of my community and friends might think we don't want our kid to work. They're involved in sports and music and everything else, and so we don't really want to make them work. And I understand that, but I also understand that um, if they're not going to work during the school days because of extracurricular activities, can they at least work in the summer? Why not work a full-time job in the summer, or at least close to full-time, and just having them a taste of responsibility of having to listen to somebody who's not their mom or dad, to have a boss and to interact in a professional way. Like, it's just such great character development and values. And so I'm a really big advocate of having your teens work part-time. Um, Babysitting and lawn mowing is great, and when they turn 16, letting them get a real job, and it doesn't have to be every day. It can just be a few hours a week while they're in school. It might just be Saturdays for 4 hours a day, just something. And then they learn how to work in a professional type way. You also teach them the value of money and the value of things. And I teach my daughter right now. I'll throw this out at you. We have a copper card. There's also something called a green light card, and so she gets her allowance put on that, and she's able to spend it. And it has an app, and she has to put 50% of whatever she earns. She has to put in long term savings for a goal. She has to give 10% to something of the kingdom. If you're a Christian, it can be giving to church, it can be giving to ministry in some way, or if you're not, you can still it's still a great value to have to give to others who need. And so, yeah, we have her do that, and then she can spend the rest of it. So, yeah, I'm a big advocate of all of kids working, chores from a small age, part-time jobs, allowance, the whole thing. I hope this helps you. I hope this answers your question. I really thank you for writing in. If you have a question, you can write to asktammyma@gmail.com, and I will answer your questions too. I'll try to answer your questions. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let me know if it was helpful, and let me know if you have any more questions. Today we have another mom fell. So I guess this was quite a few years ago. One of my boys, I will not mention his name. He was probably about, I don't know, maybe about 9 or 10 years old. And he was really, really kind of one of those boys that kind of cries and it gets hurt a lot, stubs his toe and cries about it and needs a Band-Aid. And he was one of those kids who tended to be one that kind of overreacted for injuries and sicknesses. And so whenever he would say something, I would kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I'll never forget, he was playing on one of our staff's motorcycles, and he was sitting on it just playing. And he was just, he wasn't supposed to be, but he was just playing. He was on it. He was playing. He's riding. He's driving his motorcycle, and he ends up, toppling over and missed his footing and fell over, and hit his arm against the concrete. And so, of course, it had it got bumped, and so I was like, well, baby, that's what happens when you get on bikes that you're not supposed to get on. So you're good. You're fine. And so I didn't really baby him or anything like that. I was like, I figured his consequence was that he fell off and he got hurt. So there, he learned his lesson and we're all good. And so I didn't pay much attention. And I said, well, that's what you get for sitting on that when you're not supposed to be. So, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours later, he came to me, my elbow hurts, Tim, it hurts so bad. And I was like, and I grabbed his arm and I pulled it towards me. And I'm like, it's fine. Look, it's fine. I'm rubbing his elbow and I'm pulling his arm. And I'm just like, baby, it's totally fine. You're fine. Just rub it. It's fine. And then it really hurts. And he's crying. And then I was like, here's a Tylenol, here's a little, ice pack. You're good. And so the whole night he's like, it really hurts. And I was like, baby, you're fine. The bike wasn't even moving. You're sitting on it and fell off. Like, you're fine. And so that was it. Next day, he said, oh, it hurts. And I was just like, okay, we probably should take him to the doctor. And I was like, I'm going to be so upset if the doctor says there's nothing wrong. I'm going to literally make him pay the doctor's bill because this is crazy. And so we go to the doctor and we go there. And of course, they look at him and stuff and they take an x-ray. And yeah, he had a hairline fracture in his elbow, y'all. And I had pulled it and I had probably made it worse. And so that's today's Mom Fell. Hope you enjoyed. I hope if you've ever made such a mistake that you somehow feel better about yourself now. So that's the goal of these Mom Fells. Have a great day. See you next time.